Yo, kamusta na mo? Anyway, my topic for today is Ilustre Street. Nothing much is known about ang origin sa Ilustre Street. It's just that as per kaning article ni Antonio Figueroa or makita pa niyo sa kwan sa This is Davao History sa iyang Facebook page. Um, he is a batangueño. Ang iyang full name yun is Vicente Ilustre. He was member of the Philippine Commission. Ang iyang jurisdiction was what was it? Was the kani sa mga non-Christian tribes sa Mindanao. I'm not even sure kung if he ever stepped foot sa Davao. Nothing much is known ng iyang connections between Davao and him as a Batangueño. Although he had a lot of probably fellow Batangueños nga who decided to make Davao their home. There was a rush of kaning mga Batangueñong migrations from any of those places sa Batangas to Davao. Aside from that, ang significance sa Ilustre is that I think it was already in existence. I mean, probably during the war, I would assume, or as per sa article ni Tony, nga it was a post-war creation, but I think I saw some maps nga were in, it was already there. But let me just check ang maps. But before that, the point of kaning akong kaning akong topic karon is that it's one of those streets that what survived the onslaught of the renaming. A lot of the streets sa Davao were, I mean, during the 60s were being renamed to mga Davaoeño, mga luminaries, like CM or national mga luminaries like Claveria, which was renamed CM Recto. Ang Uyangoran was renamed as Magsaysay Avenue, and so on and so forth. Ang was that it seems nga ang Ilustre stood the test of time. Strangely, Ilustre, I mean, pagbalik na Davao sa 1970, ang napansin ako, Ilustre were very few nga establishments. Murabag ako napansin, unahan pa ato, was murag kapugangan. But near San Pedro, nanay mga in existence ng mga establishments. Ang pinaka endearing was the Galaxy Theater and the Garmont Theaters. The Galaxy, I think, even during that time, it was one of those beautiful theaters, and it was nicely designed. You don't have to strain your neck. I mean, looking at the screen, it was nicely done. Even the lobby was very beautiful, and Other than that, the theaters and arcade. I think the Tionco Arcade, or was it Nene Arcade, right beside, right beside. Correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, right beside Galaxy Theater, na arcade, and then ang katong the Garcia Ancestral House was also there. I mean, in Asia's corners, San Pedro and Ilustre. And then there's that beautiful building sa kanto sa San Pedro and Ilustre. You know, it was very modernist. Even until now, it's still there. But in its time, I mean, it was a very modern uh, edifice. And it was, I mean, with the construction of Katong Gaisano Ilustre, that sort of like started the rush of building those buildings. Si Dina nag-mention Rural Bank of Davao. I can't really remember asa dapit ang Rural Bank of Davao. But pagkahimo sa Gaisano Ilustre, then nagkaroon og itong Ace Theater, even probably before, during the 70s, kaning mga restaurants. Other than that, ano pa? Di na-mention nga sa harap ng Golden Theater. So, it's right on, I think, okay, ang Ilustre was on the perpendicular of San Pedro, and so at San Pedro and Ilustre. So it's not officially nga naagi siya sa sa Rural Bank of Davao. But anyway, what I can remember of Ilustre was that it was kind of like in 1970. It was not really a busy street, but it was sort of started off katong naanay Gaisano Ilustre. I think Gaisano Ilustre was built sometime mid or after mid of 1970s, because I remember mga barkada nako sa high school, we would always go there para mo suroy mo. It was a place sort of like a place to be seen, you know. It became sort of a short nga entertainment and shopping nga street. It was a place to be seen kung nakay, you know, gusto niyo magawan. That short street was the place to be seen. San Pedro sort of was the shopping district, but Ilustre was something. It was something else. Ang Ilustre is that it's not really quaint, pero it is its own. It has its own identity. Ikumpara niyo mo San Pedro or sa Claveria, sa Recto or Yangoren. There's just something during its time about Ilustre. It's not, you know, one of those ordinary streets. Ilustre is daghang kag, I mean, it's in a short length pero daghang kag makita. It was mostly mga may sabi mga department stores. There's that it's sort of like the matriarch ang Gaisano nga until it's time, no? I mean during its time ang Gaisano Ilustre, and then later on ang Felcris nagtukod sila ilang branch. Pero ang arcade was sort of like it was that's where you go sa una na mga where you can those video games, and then that's ang kaning sa Malvar, wherein you had the shakies. There's that disco which I can't even remember the name, pero naay katong disco. What else? So that's sort of I think Malvar and Ilustre kanang portion there katong, if anybody can remember katong guys katong Barrio Fiesta katong restaurant na to. It was a really nice nga restaurant, and my mother or my mom would always bring us there for sort of like a late afternoon nga kaon, middle of the week, strangely. Dina mentioned Xenon disco. Ang right after itong 1980s, 1990s, nagkaroon ng explosion of kaning construction boom. If anybody can remember, katong second level nga parking diha sa may Malvar, and then it was a very steep climb para sa katong gusto mag-park sa second level, and that was the first nga second level nga parking sa Davao in 1970s, I think. And daghang mga restaurants, Anipay, what else along that. I'm not just limiting myself to katong sa Ilustre, kundi katong Ilustre, then the Malvar, and then all the way towards harap sa Davao Dock. So that area, that district, I would call it more, it's a mini district. Kanang Santos nga building, I remember katong 1990s or 1980s, me and my friends, we were a group of visual artists namin murag office diha sa Santos building, and then harap ana yata murag nabi hotel, was it a hotel, and then somebody mentioned about golden balcony nga kadlukan sa una kay murag, I don't know, was it a haunted house? He says Peter Pan. Okay, si Dina mentions again Peter Pan. It's kung gusto kag, if you want to really be entertained, Ilustre was the place to go. It was small, it was compact, but it had sort of like everything along straight ahead. Katong Apo nga hospital, which later on became the Limso nga hospital. I think my two kids were born there sa Limso hospital. Ang Jen Luna nga gallery, which is obviously nasa sa General Luna, and then there were also very nice nga mga sort of like ancestral houses or apartments right by that area, and there's an old row of apartment houses sa may Luna, which was just went over which was near sa UCCP nga building, UCCP church, tapos diya sa Mount Apo. That apartment building, it was very nice. So nasayangan lang ko, was it burned? Did it burn down? I don't know. I think so. There's also katong paliko diha sa may Legazpi na katong Giacominos. I think pizza. It was there 1990s, and then later on. Tapos towards, and there's that kaning appliance center. But going back dito sa Ilustre, I remember it was the crowds are usually has a sounds in isa Ilustre, very young crowds, but also into a lot of parents would always go there kay Sano Ilustre was it. If you want to shop, kay Sano Ilustre was it. It was, and then for any Davao during that time, sort of, for the shop, if you want to have that shopping experience, it was Gaisano Ilustre. It sort of like provided that different shopping experience. I mean, we had department stores before, like Magnos or katong Usa department store, but I don't know, it katong Gaisano Ilustre, that started a trend of big department stores, which burned out strangely, and then napulihan og kaning dako-dako, which was the JS Gaisano. That sort of became a mini mall. We had like 3 levels, and then nalahi ang face sa Gaisano Ilustre. But who would ever ang was that ang JS Gaisano? I mean, it was a nicely done building, but I don't know, it just fell into I don't know. Who would ever forget Ace Theater dito binakatanaw what was that? Katong Exorcist. It was a small theater. Sarong Banggi. Yeah, the restaurant Sarong Banggi. Ang sabot ang mga laing ng mga restaurants there. What else? Let me just review. Hannah mentioned about used to eat there in the 90s. I'm not sure what she was referring to. What else? But anyway, I love reminiscing ang time na ako sa youth diha sa kuan sa Gaisano Ilustre, kay nakagasuruyan, makitaan. High school, we were still high school, but then ang kuan was that dito mo ko sa trade school, so we would always go there. So we Soroy, and then seeing other high schoolers from other schools, ICC, City High, what else, Stella Maris, sa panang mga kuan. And we were just tanaw lang mi. Ikaw ba na ako akong may kuan like si Bilito Villegas or kisan may mga barkada na ako sa high school, Edwin Alinio. Garment theater. I would think of Garment theater as sort of like, I mean, it's kind of cramped, but tall. Uh, I have not, I don't know, nagtanaw medyo seen it here, 1970s. I just didn't like it. Um, my favorite was always two theaters. One was Crest and one was Galaxy. But the best nga viewing experience was always Galaxy. Um, Galaxy Theater, owned by the Garcias. Um, anyway, I think the building of the mall started sort of like a slow decline. Although naamang gihapon ng Ilustre. Napagihapon ng mga, I mean, stores. There's still a lot of stores there. But the building of the mall sort of like started decline of theaters. I mean, standalone theaters. That started, you know, the death of standalone theaters. Okay, what people would prefer now going to malls. Okay, lahi na magidang, I mean, you have everything sa mga malls. But to any old timers, you know, we tend to reminisce our, you know, those days in the 70s, 80s, or even towards the 90s about what Davao was. Davao is something else. Davao is really something during its day. I mean, Davao, we still have Davao now. Pero for any people nga we're in, I mean, Davao had that cosmopolitan feel, pero it was kind of a laid back nga. It had a laid back nga feel also. To any Dabueño, any old Dabueño, when you say Ilustre, that, you know, they would always have positive nga memories of Ilustre. Anyway, so what else? So, okay, people, just a view. I don't know, somebody's not liking the video or whatever. Mad. But anyway, thank you sa mga nagatanaw karon. And then thank you po sa mga like Hannah leaving the comments, si Dina. I'm not sure what's happening this ako ang comments section about, but anyway, it's, I don't know, for mobalik ko sa ako ang original ng kuan because I'm trying to keep this short. Mubalik ko dito sa akong original nga kuan nga opening statement about Ilustre. You know, it's just strange nga nung when I was looking at the map, I could see most of the streets were renamed except for Ilustre. I mean, he really had no direct connection with Davao. Although he was batangueño, but as I've said, I mean, why did he survive being renamed as something else? I would doubt he had really stepped foot sa Davao. Although he had fellow mga Batangueños na sa Davao. Pero why? Di na ako makuha. Di na ako masabtan. It's just, you know, A lot of people would say, why did we have to rename mga streets? I would, I would understand rationale with renaming the streets to, I mean, using mga local mga luminaries or local who have, influence nila sa Davao City. It's just strange nga why of all ang kwan nga that have withstood the test of time ang Ilustre Street until now it's not being renamed as, I mean, I apologize kung not knowing much about, about who Vicente Ilustre was. I don't know. Somebody mentioned about Angel's Breath. Was it a store? Collegione was where? Nagpalit og Collegione sa A&M. But A&M was, ang original ng A&M was somewhere Anda, and then gibalhin nila dia sa may Rizal and Bolton. I remember ang akong kwan, it seems nga it's becoming broader and broader ang ako ang topic. But I think ang A&M originally sa may Anda. I remember my mom brought me there kay gipalitan ko niya Ray-Ban sa una. Okay. Angel's Breath, it's a cologne for teens. Now I remember. Yeah, there's that. It's katong mga teenagers sa una, mga babae. There's that distinct smell of a lot of teenagers getting nagagamit og Angel's Breath. Now I remember it. But anyway, so ang akong topic it has become broader. Sa corner Rizal, and I'm just trying to. Okay. So I'm wrong. Ang A&M was on Rizal and Ponciano, not Bolton. And Bolton Day is a little, how many steps away. A&M was a really nice store with imported goods, baligyan nila. I mean, you have the money to splurge, sure. Ato ka sa A&M. Then here sa Rizal, I mean, you have how many hotels? Is it Dimdi? Ang kanang Dimdi nga appliance store? Is it Dimdi or no? Dimdi na isa si pangalan ni. But Churro restaurant there sa may Legazpi. I love Churro. My first Japanese dining experience was Churro with people, close people that I know, like Elaine Valencia of Southgate before, Cynthia. I think we had Cynthia and then Michelle Porras. We had our lunch diha sa Churro. It was the best nga. It was 90s. It was a really good restaurant. And that made me think, wow, any day ang Japanese any day have a Japanese meal. I was full after that. My image of getting Japanese having Japanese food, it just changed forever. Talking of Churro, the first print ad nila with periodico. Was it periodico Davao? was designed by moi. I can remember na ko na. It was my one of those early days nga attempt na ko at graphic design. Somebody mentioned nga di ko taga Davao. Well, I was there until 2000 and then moved someplace else. But family, still have family diya sa Davao. Just last February na ako diya. Sige, tabangi ko. Isa pa yung Kusina Davao, yeah, Kusina Davao, one of those Chinese restaurants that stood the test of time. Just may anda ka to sa BIR na isa ka kan-anan sa una, I remember. And most of our visitors, kay nagatrabaho ko sa Midtown, ang ma-remember na ko is we always brought them during lunch kato nga restaurant tupad lang sa BIR. There's that small nga restaurant nga wherein ang ilahang lami kay ilahang kinilaw during that time. Sayang kayo to nga restaurant. Cap building, who would ever forget that? Saan ang building sa may kuan? Sa may Anda Rizal, that building. My apologies. I seldom go home mga usahay, makalibot ako kung sa mga kuan. Legazpi corner San Pedro was Dragon Restaurant ingon si Tony Figueroa. I'm really very thankful kay Antonio Figueroa. He has lots of, this is one sort of a shout out to him. Okay, he has lots of articles on Davao history, and he has his own Facebook page called This is Davao History. So drop by sa iyang page. I mean, like his page, because you will really learn a lot on Davao history. So thank you, Tony, sa imuhang mga articles on Davao history. Ingon si Dina, lami daw ang teppanyaki squid sa churro. Not only that, lami tanan ang ilahang ginagluto during 1990s. So, abang kisabi tagya sa churro? I don't know. But yeah, what else? There is a one, I mean, between kaning sa Malvar and between Ilustre and Legazpi. Di ba mga restaurants aside? I mean, in the 70s, I know nga, Davao had its first taste of kaning mga national or international brands, kaning Shakey's. That sort of, gave a glimpse of mga international brands during that time. I don't know, they had a building which was really typical of what they have. I mean, kaning ilahang mga designs sa ilahang most buildings. But then the thing is that it didn't last long. Ang Shakey's. Tony mentions that Kusina Davao was across. Ang original was Menseng. Okay. So Dina said Ray and Leticia Rubilio de La Paz ang tagiya sa Churo. And that was quite I mean, during its time in the 90s, I mean, um, Davao that time began, I mean, having, I mean, a broader area. Ang palay at sa Davao was, it began to broaden. I mean, like any fellow Davaoeño, you grow up having two dishes. I mean, sa imuhang it's either local, a Filipino cuisine, or Chinese cuisine. Those are the only choices that you have. But when I think ang Barrio Gaisano had a very good choice of food nga ginaserve nila sa una. But when you say standalone nga mga restaurants, I mean, having, a very specific cuisine. I mean, I think one of those where in Churro started pioneers, I would consider pioneers. So that's sort of like a trend of Davao expanding its sort of like, I mean, ang palette of Davao. I mean, it began to broaden then later on. There was a pizza restaurant on top of Churu sa una. Because I remember, nagapalit ko pizza diha. Okay, mag-order akong wife for my kids. What else? Nada dito mga international goods. Mga pizza. Somebody mentioned about ang Giacominos diya sa but 1990, early 90s, ang Giacominos, ang katong Molave, ang nimpuli ato was the Giacominos, which was hangout namo with my family after going to church. Ang among church that time, it's either katong, if somebody can remember, I mean, I'm not Catholic, so ang among church was TJF. Yes, I think there was a time where it was on Kagalaxy, and sometimes diha sa Amoragi nimbalhin sa may Queens. But after church service, we would go there sa Giacominos. So we all have a favorite haunts namo was the Giacominos, and then Shakey's along Bolt. There's small Shakey's there sa may Bolton. No, I'm really expanding. So would ever forget Visayan Educational Supply, and then atong Velasco, and then isang most Davaoeños is kaning daghang mga Davao Bohol nga mga kitchenettes or restaurants. Now I remember na ay Davao Bohol diha sa may Ilustre. Yeah. So, murag nag full circle naman, balik na ko sa Ilustre. So, yeah. Sometimes I'm at a loss of trying to remember a lot of names. But these are, what I've mentioned was those places that sort of like that's stuck in your head. Anyway, so I think I'll just for now close this. So salamat for viewing this live video. Sometimes I don't really Like before, we're in, I would announce it, but now I would just, I would just go on live without any announcing. I mean, without any shout outs. Okay. Sometimes things are just so fresh sa imuhang mind, and then or things are just so, I'd love to do this. I've been wanting to do a illustrating a video for quite some time now, but I had to ask Tony. I mean, ano ba yung nahita mo? Where did we get the name Ilustre? So, I've already started a series on Davao streets. So it started off with San Pedro, and then we had Claveria, and now we have Ilustre. Hopefully sometime, I mean, I could have some video on Uyanggoren or Ramon Magsaysay. And then one of the strangest names we have for a street was Ponciano Reyes, which ended up, I mean, why people call it Ponciano instead of Reyes. And then it was renamed, I think, to something else. But anyway, thank you all for viewing, for being with me. I know I'm here on the other side of the world, and it's really what time? It's nearly 4 in the morning, so this is the best time that I can do a live video. Okay. My son's still sleeping, my wife is still sleeping, so it's kind of quiet inside the house. When I did Claveria nga video, and then I would hear somebody was just chopping something. It was my wife actually chopping something in the background. So anyway, hopefully I can see you all again next video. I'm still trying to think of what's the best next topic. So I hope you enjoyed getting small topic, which Ilustre is about Ilustre Street, and then it just sort of like we can do some other day. I mean, a more an additional Ilustre Street and environs video. Okay, so you all have a nice Saturday afternoon, a nice weekend. Hope to see you again. Salamat.